and get going. Thank you guys. Let's see. Oh gosh, your speakers have either failed or been unplugged. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
I can.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Appreciate you all very much. I sent out an email this afternoon after I got Brian's email, just to let you guys read what he wrote. Did everybody get a chance to read what Brian wrote?
I did not.
I did.
No?
I did.
Yes.
So,
Do you mind reading it together just to catch us all up? Because I didn't read it, and I think what he had to say is, I'm sure it's very important.
yeah, let me, I need to pull up my email then. A second.
Well, Susan's pulling it up. Anybody else have any thoughts on it, or can say a little bit of the gist of it, or?
Well, he was talking about having a separate code versus just trying to change verbiage because of the importance of it.
Mm-hmm. Those of you that read it, what are you thinking? Are you ready, Susan?
Just about. I did get it off my phone here. Okay.
Otherwise, I've got it right.
Everything. I don't think I got the language in email rated ahead of time.
I've got it up on my phone, Susan.
Okay, I do too. I've got it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. As to the verbiage of the other matter, referring to change in verbiage to the codes, the whole idea of where indicated, I am against as you are, as this allows people not to screen. It assumes that they have already seen something or had other reasons, like the person is a smoker, to do the exam, therefore indicating that it should be screened and evaluated. That is closing the gate after the horse has gotten out. This has to be about doing opportunistic screenings on everyone, whether or not they think they are likely to have a cancer or not. Definitely the wording where indicated is wrong in capital letters, and the word opportunistic is appropriate. That means everyone when you say opportunistic. I disagree with the Dr. Nemechek. In spite of his training you mentioned, this involves his saying we are looking for tumors, which is also not correct. When an exam is done, there are hopefully, in opportunistic screenings, lots of precancers that can be found, i.e. leukoplakias, erythroplakias, and so on. None in capital letters of those are tumors. Finding a precancer is where the opportunity is. You have just headed off a tumor and a cancer by identifying those and removing those, and hopefully evaluating why they occurred, such as the patient uses tobacco or engages in other avoidable risk factors. Obviously, not all these occur from avoidable risk factors and arise for reasons that are poorly understood. Nevertheless, it is important that we find things before they become tumors. Because he is in the world of treatment, he clearly does not think like someone that is interested in the world of discovery, ideally of precancerous conditions that might move on further to a tumor carcinoma in situ. Remember that there is no visual screening for oropharyngeal cancers, and that screening is a proper history taking of symptomology that might elicit the existence of something starting or existing in the oropharynx, such as difficulty in swallowing, chronic hoarseness, etc. This means that when you describe screening as visual, tactile, and an appropriate oral questioning to eliminate oropharyngeal symptomology, you have to state that. Otherwise, they are going to come back to the argument that there is no screening for oropharyngeal. As to not have a specific code for the screening, I think that I disagree with the group. When you give it a specific code, it becomes something that an insurance company, etc., might reimburse for, as it is additional effort, knowledge, and time in capital letters. Dentists do not screen because there is no financial incentive for them to do so. This has proven out over my many years of seeing them become cosmetologists and less doctors, chasing profit centers for their practices. If money is the god they chase, then having a separate code for screening keeps what we want them to do as a potential revenue source. And it also forces them to declare that they did it. If they add the screening code for billing and they did not do it, it now leaves them open for a liability and potential lawsuit from a patient who is subsequently, in a reasonable amount of time, cascades into a cancer. This will give them pause for thought about doing screenings or not. Otherwise, they will not code for it. And that they did not do it is clear, and that was their choice. We cannot force them to do this, but we can incentivize them to do it for liability reasons, knowing that lying about doing it with a code for something they actually did not do puts them at risk. Your last statement is great. That refers to Dr. Nemechek's justification statement. And the way it reads sounds like they are coding for specific screening procedures, so I would not change it. So that
is that the end of it?
That's
okay.
The end of
before we have a discussion, before we discuss either Dr. Nemechek or Brian Hills, what I am concerned about that I've seen with this committee is we're wishy-washy as all get out. What do we believe? What do we want? We need to have clarity on that and then determine from there what is doable and what might be a longer-term goal. I keep seeing us bouncing here to here. It's like pinball, guys. And we need to have some clarity from our group. Because we haven't been able to, we can't ask somebody else to sign on with us if we don't know what we believe.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go around. How about if we go around and ask everybody, not you first, Susan, not you first. Okay? Chair doesn't go first. Okay? And I won't go first either. I want to hear from the rest of you. I'm going to start, and I'm going to, just because it's off the top of my head. Lucy, where do you stand on all of this?
Yeah, I actually had replied to Susan's email earlier when I read it coming home in the car. I missed the last meeting, but the one before that changed direction, and I guess in thinking about it, I was a little bit disappointed because I thought the goal was to get a code, whether that's hard to do or not, to try to kind of fight for that and to have that ability to track how many screenings are getting done, having the metric, and I guess I feel that we really should, whether it's now or the next year, now that we've got momentum going, maybe try to keep working and building this coalition and maybe wait till the following year because we're under the gun so much right now. That's kind of where I'm at.
Who said that?
Lucy.
Lucy, thank you. Okay, Rhoda?
So I'm trying to understand what Lucy just said. So to me, so Lucy, what I heard Lucy said is not to add a code, Is
No,
that?
I said to add a code, not change a code, and maybe have to wait for another year to do it, but keep working on it now with the momentum we have and find more people to be included.
Correct. Okay. See, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. So I would, no, it's fine. It's the way I hear things and the way I feel, there should be a separate code. I agree with Lucy then. How's that?
Okay, and what do you think about the time part that Lucy brought forward?
There is a time crisis, but if we don't bring it now, they're going to push everything under the rug of doing more.
I agree.
Okay, Liz?
So being a newbie at this and not really knowing what it's like to go in front of the committee and actually how much success happens there and how they go about things, I'm just a little concerned about bringing on a new code and not having anything to back it. However, you guys have Dr. Nemechek and then you've got Brian as well. And I think that if we go in there as a force, I think we can do this. Because, I don't think that we should wait. I think we really need to voice this, and whether or not they actually do anything about it, well, then that's what happens. But I think that we definitely should do a different code. Now they're seeing the support that we have so that we know, well, hey, if it doesn't happen this year, then we can do it next year and keep on working at it.
Susan?
So I absolutely agree with Brian 100%. That was the first thought, when you asked for what codes we wanted to go after those many months ago, I said a code in oral pharyngeal cancer screening. And in my email, I wrote, that's kind of as an apology that as liaison, I have stepped back some at times and not given my strong opinions on this, and that was wrong. I absolutely 100% believe we should submit for a code for this screening, and I feel like we should go for it this year, and if we don't get it this year, we go for it again next year. Because I feel like if we go for verbiage change, and if they accept that verbiage change, we would never be able to go for a code for this screening because they would then say it's already in here as verbiage change. So I absolutely think we should go for a new code and go for it this year and do what we can do. And if not, go for it again.
Okay, first of all, I want to congratulate all of you because I think what you have done and learned is this is not an easy process. There is a lot of moving parts to it, and the idea of having a strategic plan of moving toward our goals is something that no matter how many times I say it, people need to discover it. You've discovered it. It takes a lot. Now, on a specific, as far as the code, I agree that having its own unique code, yet I also what we want to have, I believe we should submit is to have the words where indicated striking out. Take them out. We don't want that to be any part, and we might want to look at those codes to, it might be, where indicated, it might be something more that we want to have it struck because there's a whole separate code. You know where I'm going on that?
Yeah.
Okay? Because we want to, our goal, because remember that's what we've talked about a bunch of different times, is we can't legislate ethics by coding, but we can help push it. As part of Brian's message, we can help push it. Now, if we remove the language from the comprehensive code. Now there's upsides and downsides too. One of the things even now, if there was any teeth to follow up on how codes are being done, even if the code says where indicated, and if there is nothing documented that they did it, one of the things I get concerned about when I hear like what Ryan was writing, or even with Dr. Nemechek, we're not looking for tumors. We're not even looking for lesions. We're looking for risk. Looking for risk. And risk is, excuse me, but and this is going to be recorded, it's way the hell more than smoking. And all of those common things. That's the problem with all of this. That's all we've been using. And that's an archaic way, because fully 25 to 30% of the cases, even after diagnosis, we still don't know why they got the cancer. So that's where I could easily argue that everybody should have the oral cancer screening. Now, with that being said, one of the things, like I said, with the way the evaluation codes are written now, if the words where indicated were removed, then there'd be a case where there's fraud every time they submit that code and they haven't done that screening. And if it ain't documented, it ain't done. Having a separate code and getting some compensation for it, yeah, that's another way. But that's something we can get a code, but getting the compensation will take much longer, which is fine. That's the process. I may need to step away for a second. I need to find I'm dropping off my granddaughter. I need to find her where her dad is. Okay. I'm not going to get off. I'm just going to use my other line. So, keep going, guys.
Okay. So, I just want to go back here. Can you guys all see my screen?
Yep.
So, this was our original intent. Yeah, we were hoping for behavior change. Coding for what we do, because it's an important metric of what's being done, and measuring the outcome, and to help reduce cost, mortality, morbidity, cost in individuals, families, and carriers. I just wanted to go back and revisit that, because that was what we all initially came up with. That was our intent and our outcome for this, and it kind of goes back to what Brian said in his statement. We can't force them, but it's there. They're responsible if there is a code for that. So this is there's what we all came up with last week, and we've all agreed we don't like that. So I had a few more text message and email exchanges with Brian and today, and he said if we came up with some verbiages, take a stab at this, he would look at them and give us his feedback in the morning. And so based on what he said and some of our conversations, I put this together. But this is just a start. This is nothing, it's just a start. So,
and I can't see it, but one of the things too about it would be nice, and it sounds like we still have the possibility of submitting with Oral Cancer Foundation and or Dr. Nemechek's name with us, which we start. But then even after the submission dates go, that doesn't mean we can't build coalitions, okay? Doesn't mean we still can't reach out and lobby the committee members, okay? And then and do some of the stuff. That process doesn't end. It needs to be year-round. in some ways, if we have something more specific to take to them, okay, that's where we are now, then that's the way we can proceed.
Okay. Do you want me to read what I wrote up here? And then what I just wrote, something to start, and then to get feed in and your recommendations and ideas, and then we can submit these things to Brian and have him take a look at it. So what I wrote.
Okay, let me say something before we can submit to Brian. Brian is not the chair of this committee. Brian is not in charge of this committee. What I'm concerned about, Susan, is like we're not going to have, this is our work. So us bringing this together, asking for input from Brian is one thing, but then it needs to come back to us because we need to have this together to present to the broader committee next week. So everybody's got to have ownership in this, not just Brian.
Yeah, I know that. I was just saying that. He said he would look at it and give his recommendations and opinions. And then we could take it from there, whether to take those or not.
Our meeting is next month, Sunday.
Yep. So I'll read what I wrote. You guys can give me your input, and let's work on this. So it says oral and oropharyngeal cancer screening. An opportunistic screening performed on all patients by a licensed dentist or dental hygienist to include a comprehensive visual and tactile extraoral and intraoral screening, along with a proper history taking of symptomology, verbally and or by an updated medical history questionnaire to eliminate oropharyngeal symptomology.
Well, first of all, you want a provider neutral, so I would just say licensed dental professional or licensed professional.
Why are we identifying the provider in any way, shape, or form?
Well, because what if it's a dental therapist?
So what?
Well,
they qualified to do it?
Right,
but
this
screening?
This says licensed dentist or dental hygienist, so it's limited to.
No, I agree. No, again, provider neutral. So why have we have provider language in there at all? Why would we have this committee that's, see what I'm saying? It's like, why do we need that in there at all?
Yep.
Well, it's just something I wrote, and that's why I'm asking for.
That's good, Susan. That's okay. Yeah.
Oh, but this is what we call committee work. This is the committee to do it. That's what it is.
No, that's good. That's good.
You've done it.
That's good, Susan.
So I took it out. An opportunistic screening performed on all patients.
I'm not sure what opportunistic is. Isn't that the word that's usually done in the negative, so to speak? So what does opportunistic mean?
Meaning, from what I took from what Brian was saying, an opportunistic screening is done on everybody regardless of suspicion of risk for this cancer.
I think that's
going to have to be. Go ahead.
I think that's going to be confusing to people who aren't in on this conversation.
Okay.
And I think it's redundant too. Opportunistic on all patients. That's.
Yeah.
By the way, less words is always better because the more words there are, the more argumentation and interpretation there can be. I'm not even saying misinterpretation, although that's true too, but interpretation it's open to. Okay? So what's it looking like now with the stuff we've already removed?
So a screening performed on all patients, or here on D0120 it says an evaluation performed on a patient of record. So we could put a screening performed on a patient of record.
That's good.
No, well, they're saying is what about a situation where someone's in a public health setting and or they're not a patient of record, and they're not going to be a patient of record. We certainly wouldn't. Don't we want to have that counted too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if they're in for an emergency and it happens to be an abscess and there's a lump next to that abscess, yeah,
Yep.
they're
Or
not a patient of record.
they're in with Carol Brzezinski in the, this is the adult, oh God, I can't see the word, the adults with difficulties, mental difficulties. That's not the right word either. But anyway, but she's doing toothbrushing instructions. Okay, as she's in there, can she also do a screening for oral cancer? You're darn straight she can.
Yeah.
It's not a dental office setting. That's what I'm trying to do, is get it out of a dental office setting per se language.
Okay.
That's when you get patients of record, that has, I know in Illinois and I'm sure in other states, that is a very specific meaning.
Okay. So
we want a screening thing, don't we?
Yeah.
About a screening to include a comprehensive, just say a screening to include.
Yeah.
Or which includes.
Which includes.
Which includes.
Or a screening including a
Now,
comprehensive.
including makes it sound like it's a menu, which includes makes it specific, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So a screening which includes a comprehensive visual and tactile, extraoral and intraoral screening. So that we don't need let's use screening twice.
Don't we want to do the medical review and blah, blah, blah risk part first?
Yeah, but I was I'm still in that first sentence. A screening which includes
I know
a
that,
comprehensive.
but here's the thing is, but I think that's exactly what I'm saying, is the screening doesn't come first. It's the screening to include a review of the medical history to identify risk factors, as well as, do you see what I'm saying? There's almost like an order of operations we might want to do it in. Again, I'm not looking at it, guys. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what she's saying.
You see what
You
I'm
have
saying?
to do yeah.
Because otherwise, you're going to think, oh, it's intraoral, extraoral. Okay, fine. But one of the things we talked about is how important the risk assessment part of it is.
Right. But I'm just trying to, I get that. I'm trying to finish this. So a screening which includes a comprehensive visual and tactile, extraoral and intraoral, what? Assessment or?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say, Susan. That's the problem. With that part first is where the problem is. Because we can't call it an assessment. We're not going to call it anything until we get the wholeness of what it is that we're trying to get them to do, as well as the order. Because it's a screening of their medical history for risk for oral cancer. Again, I don't have that part of the language. And because it's like, and then, so to speak. Liz?
So you're saying put the visual and tactile last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, because visual and tactile needs to come last.
Because first you're going to discuss their symptoms and medical history before you actually look. How about a comprehensive screening? Or
how about a screening which includes a comprehensive
risk assessment?
I was going to say assessment.
To include an updated medical.
I think that's going to make it.
Sorry, can I just play devil's advocate with that? Aren't we supposed to always update medical history?
Yeah.
So,
But it's not always done.
Right, but we're not going to get them to do it by doing that. I think we need to stay in the realm of lower cancer. So if comprehensive screening for risk for oral cancer, or risks, oral cancer risks, and head and neck visual, blah, blah, okay? I think if we stay in that risk assessment language, which again has been approved in other parts of the coding thing, not completely unknown to this group.
Yep, comprehensive risk assessment.
That includes visual.
But the word comprehensive before the risk assessment is also important, because all these steps need to be done comprehensively. Is what our message is, right?
Okay, so what if we start, what about this? Like, comprehensive risk assessment to include a verbal inquiry and updated medical history. Do we want to say to eliminate oropharyngeal symptomology or something like that? Or no?
All of that language is way over the line, Susan. It really is, from my experience. That'll never fly.
Okay.
Not the way that code's written.
Okay. A comprehensive risk assessment to include a verbal inquiry and updated medical history.
Would you want to say current medical history instead of updated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, take updated out.
Okay. Say current.
I think and medical history.
New.
Just and medical history.
History is fine.
I don't think medical history will apply either.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but
it's not going to fly, guys. We need to have it where it's neat. What that comprehensive risk assessment isn't defined in the body of the code.
No. So however you develop your risk assessment, it doesn't need to say.
And right now we don't have a code name at all, because the code name, we've got to decide how much we want to put in the code name and how much we're going to put into the descriptor. Because this is better, comprehensive, that we're going to call this a comprehensive risk assessment for oral cancer, and then in the descriptor put in all the other stuff.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not saying that's the way we do it, but you see what I mean? You can't have a name of a code. You should see some of this when I'm trying to explain the name of the code. And if anybody remembers this year, earlier this year, the Canberra Coalition tried to submit something that was a 3-paragraph name. That's not a name. The name, you have the code number, the code name, and then the code descriptor. Now, what's important is that we get enough into the code name that is that change of behavior, because for most offices and most practitioners, they never see the descriptor because the software doesn't have room for it. So comprehensive oral cancer screening for every patient. Or, again, I don't know if that's right. I'm just saying.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So we've got a comprehensive risk assessment to include a verbal inquiry.
I think risk assessment seems like something outside the mouth.
I don't think, a risk assessment calling it, specifically, even, in the Canberra code, if you're familiar with those codes, and you may not be, but all three of them are the same as far as, but one is low, medium, and one is, high, whatever it is. But all of them, the descriptor is exactly the same, using recognized risk assessment tools or something like that. It doesn't say you got to use pH and you got to use this, you got to use that, and you got to use the other stuff.
They're about behavior. They're about sugar intake. They're about practices. They're not about looking in the mouth.
What? You got to roll this.
The Canberra I use talks more about things out
but there's paper forms and there's the diagonal and there's pH paper. All of those things can be considered risk assessment tools for Carrie's risk assessment. Okay, there's a number of modalities that we can look at that can be understood as part of the oral cancer risk assessment. But I don't think just putting down the medical history and all that is going to really get us what we want. Sorry, I got to take the other call.
Okay, so whoever was talking previously, I wasn't able to hear what they said. It was kind of mumbled.
I'm on my phone, is why I'm sorry. This is Angela. I was just saying the chamber thinks I use the thing, those parts we put down are all written factors. That's not looking in the mouth. But she was saying the diagonal and all, and I agree with that. But I was just talking to our state deal director this weekend, and we were talking about an HPV committee for the state, and I said something about, do you know of any oral cancer risk assessments out there? And she said, no, there are no oral cancer risk assessments out there. So I think using that wording, I'm more in favor of more of an action word.
So are we saying then that we're taking out risk assessment?
No, I think Patty likes it. That's just my suggestion.
What would you put in its place? What would you put in its place? It's Rhoda. Sorry. Okay, that makes sense. A comprehensive
I
assessment.
can't hear anything that Angela's saying for some reason.
She said that to take out risk and just do assessment, a comprehensive assessment.
I think we lose a tremendous amount by not having the word risk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And an assessment has traditionally been the physical aspect of, well, it's having to stick out the tongue. We know that's more like it. But if we don't use the word risk assessment, then we've really lost a lot.
Yeah. I feel the same.
I'm okay with the majority. That's just my opinion.
So we have a comprehensive risk assessment to include a verbal inquiry for the first sentence. Is that?
It should remain verbal inquiry, because if you read along with a proper history taking of symptomology, isn't that telling you that you're talking to the patient to find out what the symptoms are?
And when you do like Canberra or Carrie's risk assessment, you're supposed to go through those questionnaires with the patient verbally, even though you write down or check the boxes. But you do that verbally. You don't have the patient fill it out. You do
that's
that
not a point, right?
one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
I don't understand the reason that we want to say verbally.
I think you do however you want to do it. So just take it out.
Okay, so we're taking out verbal inquiry?
Yes.
Comprehensive risk assessment, period.
So
And we're writing the descriptor now. Is that that's what we've determined? We don't have a name yet. We're just writing a descriptor.
Yeah.
So a couple things. I had this article that I had put somewhere. I thought I had it in Dropbox, or I sent it to Susan. And Philips Oral Healthcare has a care risk assessment for oral cancer, and it's actually You can do it on a computer, so it's similar to a Canberra. It's a lot of questions and answers to go through with a patient. Joanne Gurenlian had that referenced in an article, and it says that let me find this one, the ADHA clinical standards of dental hygiene address the need to conduct risk assessment procedures as part of the assessment standard of care. And they're not talking about caries, they're talking about, this is all on cancer assessment. So
Yes, it is one of our standards of, in our standards of care as one of the pillars of risk assessment for all patients on all levels. Also, Previsor, which is the company that is the Delta Dental of the Northeast, which is like Maine, Michigan, Delaware, Maine, Delaware, up in that area. They have, Previsor was used to be a freestanding company, and now they're with that very innovative Delta group up in the North area that they have risk assessment for periodontal caries and oral cancer.
Okay. So there are established risk assessments out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I had come up with something a couple weeks ago at the meeting, I had as the title name of it, Comprehensive Head, Neck, Oral, and Oropharyngeal Evaluation, New or Established Patient. I'm just throwing that out there. It might not even be correct, but I kind of formed that after the periodontal evaluation, comprehensive.
I missed what you said. I'm sorry. It was me. I didn't get to.
So a couple weeks ago.
Somebody multitask and I do it once. Oh my God, people. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. A couple weeks ago in the meeting, when I'd kind of come up with a code, which isn't even right, but I had listed it as comprehensive head, neck, oral, and oropharyngeal evaluation, and I don't even know if that's the right word, new or established patient.
What you're doing with that is you're following protocols that have been done before. That's what's a good thing about that.
That's
whether or not, yeah. And I think that there's some real value in there as far as creating a name of a quote code. Again, this is the nomenclature now, not the descriptor, but the nomenclature to have something as similar to the others as possible. But I think there's still way too many words. We all know why those words need to be there and what we're trying to emphasize, but is there still a way that we can squish them up below?
How about comprehensive oral cancer screening?
Yeah.
Well, I know, but one of the things we need to discuss, are we going to call it a screening, or are we going to ask for an evaluation?
Well, I thought evaluation meant an exam.
We don't have any exam codes at all. So, this is where this comes in. The precedent is that there are evaluation codes and there are screening codes. If you look in this section under clinical evaluations, there are they call them pre-diagnostic codes, the DL190 and the DL191. And one is a screening, blah, blah. Does anybody have access? I'm actually pulling in my son's driveway, except now I miss that too. My God. I'm sorry. But I can look up the descriptor of those codes because there might be something that we can. You got them? Okay, great, Susan.
So the DO190, screening of a patient, a screening including state or federally mandated screening to determine an individual's need.
No, not that one, it's the other one. It's not it. It's the other one, the 919.
Okay. Assessment of patient. A limited clinical inspection that is performed to identify possible signs of oral or systemic disease. malformation, or injury, and the potential need for referral for diagnosis and treatment.
What do you think of going that direction? That's the only screening codes that we have.
Well, and the reason I did it the way the reason I did it the way I did it was I was following the comprehensive periodontal evaluation.
Right. Okay. Here's one of the things that I want about, and this is where policies should not influence and blah, blah, blah. But then let's also be real here. The way many policies are written is you get that the policy is written for 2 oral evaluations a year. That's it. So if you use one, like even for an emergency, then they only have one for another time a year. So that's where this language of evaluation versus screening versus whatever all comes in.
And how many screenings can you have in a year?
There was no number that I know of, and I don't know how many are written into any policy, to be honest.
Okay.
Because these are newer screening codes. Yet, if the language that we get, and part of the reason I'm kind of thinking this for right now is that these screening codes those are meant to be done by anybody that isn't necessarily doesn't have to be a dentist. They almost were like pat the hygienist on the head codes for a while. Okay, I might have to cut that out. I was recording. Anyway, but it's we are talking about screening here. The language is very specific in that the part about the need for referral, I think that's a really important thing. Do you see how we can maybe take pieces and parts of language that's already been approved, and that way, if we piece it better by something that's already been approved, we're going to be versus a whole nother language. Okay. Even go to the adjunctive device code. Maybe look at what language we might be able to pull from there. And see, that's already all been approved through the committee.
Okay. Try to look it up.
It says adjunctive pre-diagnostic test that aids in detection of mucosal abnormalities, including pre-malignant and malignant lesions, not to include cytology or biopsy procedures.
Because what if we used it for again in our descriptor or screening to identify the risk for pre-malignant and whatever all that crap is. I'm sorry. I have no control at this point, apparently. What do you guys think? What do the rest of you think? What do you think?
I agree.
So what about this? I'm putting those two together because I've got them right here in front of me. A clinical intraoral and extraoral inspection. This is after the risk assessment. That is performed to identify possible mucosal abnormalities, including pre-malignant and malignant. I don't know if we want to say lesions because it's not always a lesion. Pre-malignant and malignant abnormalities.
Abnormalities, I think is a good word. And nobody owns that word. Just saying.
Yeah.
You heard what you know what I just said there.
It's good to be abnormal.
Yeah, be normal.
No, why be normal? It's good
That's right.
to be
Isn't
abnormal.
I know, isn't that what you have in your signature, your emails, Roberta?
Happily imperfect.
Love it, love it.
Yep, happily imperfect. Thank you. Abnormal.
Again, I can't see anything, so.
Okay, she's still typing.
Okay. Thank you for the play-by-play. Oh, God. While she's talking, we put our house, we moved a year ago, and my son was living in our old house, and we put our house on the market 2 days ago, and we have an the market price that we put offer 2 days out. Woo! Heck of a day. Woo-hoo. Yeah, yeah. Good stuff, without a doubt.
Where are you, Patty?
I'm in the suburbs of Chicago. My one house
know.
was about, oh, okay, so you know the area? I was in Addison.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where the
All right.
house was.
Okay.
And I'm in Elgin now.
Oh, okay. We were just down in Glencoe today.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, at the Writers Theater.
Oh, cool. What'd you do?
Went to see a musical. My daughter works there.
Oh. Oh, I'd love to hear what's there because I love theater and love that kind of stuff.
Oh, it was awesome.
Was it? Yeah.
We saw Into
See,
the
and I think
Woods.
too. Oh my God, I never saw that until a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't, because I know about them. I mean, like actually I'm a theater junkie. And the first time I saw that, I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
It is so good. It is such a good play.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so one of the things, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go back to the committee. Susan,
Yeah.
do you actually have the book up so they can see it?
No, I've got the book in my hand.
Oh, okay, okay, that's fine. The reason is that, you know, as I'm sitting here on this page looking at this section of tests and examinations, I can almost see the philosophy of the committee going here, there, and everywhere. Because we have one, HbA1c testing has no descriptor at all. The next one is about laboratory processing micro, no descriptor. Then there's viral culture that has a one-line descriptor.
Okay.
Then the next one has no descriptor, a one-line descriptor. So I think that's important for us to think through that too. Because one of the challenges has been with the, you know, back in the day when they did the comprehensive oral evaluation and all that, that's so dang wordy. You know, basically, until this work on this committee, none of the rest of you knew the words as indicated were ever even in there, right?
Right.
You see? Yeah. So I think that's something for us to consider about the very important way that we can make this as succinct. Okay, can you talk? By the way, I also started my Invisalign this week too.
Oh.
Oh, and I just got there from town. I was out of town too. But anyway, but as succinct as possible because that's the way they've been passing them more.
How about just saying a comprehensive risk assessment and clinical inspection
Yep, that's good.
What? I
don't know. Do we have to put a what? I mean,
yeah, because basically, so tell me what is it? No, I mean, as a provider, I'm going, I don't know how to use the code. Am I expecting?
Okay.
So what about a comprehensive risk assessment and clinical inspection? I was going to put in there something about extraoral and intraoral to identify possible signs and symptoms of mucosal or just say abnormalities. We don't really need to say mucosal. signs and symptoms of abnormalities, including premalignant and malignant abnormalities at the end.
But do they have
Oh, wait.
do they have to necessarily be pre-malignant even? I mean, we can be evaluating something.
I think we should just put abnormality.
It's abnormalities.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if it's pre or if it's malignant until there's biopsy.
Yep.
Take out including too.
I don't understand the inspection word even.
Well, I took that from that is DO 191, assessment of patient. Comprehensive risk assessment and clinical screening. I don't know. A comprehensive risk assessment and visual and tactile.
I think, yeah,
We
visual.
need to have something about.
Wait, what?
We need to have something, I feel like, about intraoral, extraoral.
And so I think that, what were those two words you used before? Intraoral, extraoral, you just said the, not inspection, was between those two words that you just said. Those sounded good.
I don't remember.
Okay.
We had world peace in there. My son's home, so I need to hand off my granddaughter. I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Comprehensive risk. What about a comprehensive risk assessment and visual? Maybe that's what I said. And visual and tactile screening.
or just
That way I mean, it's been, but I mean, like, Wednesday is my first day off. I mean,
About
yeah. Well, I think we've been so short staffed that I've been getting overtime. And my boss is okay.
So if we put visual and tactile in there, are they gonna understand if they're supposed to be doing with the risk assessment, that part of that's doing a conversation with the patient? You know what I mean? Like the oral, I mean, just having the conversation.
Well, that's why I like the word verbal. That gets wordy.
Yeah.
But we're going over that when we go over their health history and when we do any other assessments like Canberra.
Yeah. But you're also asking questions like, do you have any trouble swallowing? Do your ears hurt? Do you have a raspy voice? You know, those kind of things. That's why I'm saying if it just says intra and extraoral, visual and tactile, are they going to be asking questions too? Or is that part of the comprehensive risk assessment?
I would take that as part
I'm
of
playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I would take it as part of the comprehensive risk assessment for me.
Okay, good.
So let me understand. So you're taking the verbal inquiry as a comprehensive risk assessment.
I guess that's where that would be, yes.
That's a part of it.
Yeah, but here's where my issue is some people don't even know that they're supposed to be doing that or know what to ask. So that or that even should be doing it.
But some people don't know how to do a risk assessment for caries either.
Yes, exactly.
So
I have an online order. I think the number is 556, but I'm not sure.
I think that's where the education comes in is, you know, people aren't getting educated. I mean, I learned I didn't know about talking about, you know, the swallowing. I mean, I kind of knew, but now I always ask my patients about swallowing and voice and all that. So
And that's also part of, for me, that's a part of the actual tactile part of it, because I always have my patients swallow every single time as I'm doing the intro.
Right.
Okay, so that you found those words, tactile and whatever. What were they? Again, I was gone for a second.
I don't think, Susan, I don't think I'd put verbal in the risk assessment. I would just think that's part of the risk assessment.
Yeah.
So we have a comprehensive risk assessment and intraoral and extraoral visual and tactile screening to identify possible signs and symptoms
I think, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I know that this might be like a fart right now, but I know we have this oral and oropharyngeal. For most, even practitioners, oropharyngeal means the same to them.
Yep.
True.
As those two words, and
Yes.
less is more. So if we use oropharyngeal, I think we're better served
Yes.
than trying to do oral and oropharyngeal.
So just say oropharyngeal cancer screening.
Mm-hmm.
Comprehensive.
Well, I think the word comprehensive will be all parts of this need to be comprehensive. Not comprehensive risk assessment. That's not a complete thing. It's comprehensive risk assessment, tactile, visual, oral. I don't have it in front of me, guys. Intraoral, extraoral, oropharyngeal cancer screening.
But if we don't include oral, are we looking at the tongue and the floor of the mouth? That confuses.
I know. Okay, but what is oropharyngeal? Tell me the definition of that.
Yep. That's
To me, it's
I think for a lot of people, they think. What? No, I understand pharyngeal. What is the oral part of it?
I see the oropharyngeal as the back of the throat, soft palate, tonsils, but way back. I don't see that as the anterior part.
So what is oral versus oropharyngeal?
To me, that includes the floor of the
Because
mouth.
to me, that includes oral is all of it. I don't need the pharyngeal, all that descriptor stuff, because to me, oral is head all the way back, because that's all the oral. See, that's what I'm saying about the terminology.
So then just take out oropharyngeal.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is what we have to figure out communication language-wise.
Right.
But I think having both is confusing at best to most.
And isn't that sad that it's confusing to a set of dental professionals when they should know oral and oropharyngeal and the difference between the two and the difference between the two cancers?
Because I think
oropharyngeal.
You're talking to somebody that has to go out there and talk. I get to talk to them about what burial is. Hello. It's gingivitis is burial. Ugh. Anyway. God. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, but that's part of why we're doing what we're doing, Susan.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, really? Don't we know that? I mean, come on.
Pretty much how I feel about that I have to go give courses, and we have all this body of research on the head's really connected to the rest of the body. Who'd have thought it?
Yeah.
Oh, good thing we have research on that.
So we don't need to really worry about the name of this.
Yes, we absolutely do have to worry about the name of this.
Okay.
Name is the most important part.
Yeah,
because remember, nobody sees, the majority of people will
That's right.
never see the description.
Yeah.
The name is the most important part.
Okay, so what I have written down here, comprehensive oral and oropharyngeal cancer screening. Thoughts? Yay, nay?
I think that what we were doing is, what if we had that as if all we have is a nomenclature and there is no descriptor? Comprehensive risk assessment, whatever, all internal, no, before oral you had the other one, visual and tactile, internal, external, oral and oropharyngeal cancer screening. And that's the code. That's the name, that's the thing. I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm right.
So it doesn't
A
help to get
comprehensive risk assessment, visual and tactile, intraoral, extra oral.
How about comprehensive oral and oropharyngeal cancer screening and risk assessment?
Risk assessment needs to come first.
Okay, so comprehensive risk assessment and oropharyngeal cancer screening.
I think that's what people think they're doing now, and that's where I think the visual and
Okay.
tactile and
Okay. I thought you were
So
trying to put it all in one thing.
we are
Comprehensive
going to put it all in one. I am trying to put it all in one thing, but it's
Okay.
comprehensive risk assessment.
visual and tactile, intraoral, extraoral, oral and oropharyngeal cancer screening.
Too many orals.
How many orals do we have in
Yeah.
there?
Too many.
We got a lot of oral.
We got a lot, which, pretty much would be not surprising to is here in Oregon, but.
Okay, so how about this?
How about
Visual and
extra?
tactile,
Extra,
extra,
extra, slash extra, slash extra. There you go.
oral. Yeah.
Oral and oropharyngeal. There you go.
Okay, so a comprehensive risk assessment, visual and tactile intra slash extra oral and oropharyngeal cancer screening to identify possible signs and symptoms of abnormality. Or just identify or not possible. I don't know the word. Identify signs and symptoms.
Yeah.
Or to identify abnormalities. Just say abnormalities.
Yeah.
Right. I like abnormalities because even my maxillary tori should be examined and documented.
Right.
Put that together with my risk assessment, and oh man, okay? I'm at much higher risk. My tori is getting bigger. Why? La 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 la. You know what I mean?
Do we take signs and symptoms out, Susan? Yeah. Identify abnormality.
A comprehensive risk assessment, visual and tactile, intra, extra oral, and oropharyngeal cancer screening to identify abnormalities. Ooh, I like that.
I'm liking that.
Yeah.
I'm liking that.
Do we want to put a comprehensive risk assessment and visual and tactile?
No, the list. Because risk assessment, intraoral, extraoral, all those other words are modifiers to abnormality, so to speak. Yes? No? I don't know. Again, I'm not looking at it.
Yep, I like that.
So, a comprehensive, here, let me do this. Hey, Patty and Rhoda, I'm going to send you a text here.
Yeah, me reading that text while I'm driving probably isn't the best.
Oh, I didn't know you were driving.
I'm driving. Butter, getting gas in my car, and it's raining.
Bad.
I'm having a little hard time concentrating.
Okay, so
Read it again.
this is what we've got. A comprehensive risk assessment, comma, visual and tactile, intra/extraoral and oropharyngeal cancer screening to identify abnormalities.
I like it.
I like it.
I do too.
And I don't think we need a descriptor. It's very specific. Now, one thing we just lose is our all patients. And I don't know if we can put that in there anyway, but what about that part?
Do we need to have an age?
After abnormalities, we could just put to identify abnormalities on all patients. What about that?
Or
I
for
think that all patients is,
Well, but then that makes them, if they're not a patient.
No, I would keep it out.
right.
This is for everybody. It's general.
Because then it goes back to that other conversation that we had previously as far as established patient or
In a nursing home or just brushing the teeth? Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
What happened to your title?
we're not
I took it out.
having one. This is it.
I gotcha. Oh, I'm a little slow.
No, you're
Sorry.
not. Your brain is too fast. If anything, it's whirring so quickly.
Oh my gosh. This reminds me of ADHA, putting the does and the is and the nots in all those PRs and PBYs. I just want to puke.
You know what though? But that's part of what I was going to ask you guys. If anybody has, if you have never been involved in that kind of process, that's exactly what is. This is called the political process, guys.
Yeah.
So even though what we see is a really bad version of it, this is politics. It's coming up with words and compromising and getting something all people can understand. And and I hated that too. I kept, when I started in leadership, they kept offering me Robert's rules, and I'm like, I don't want it. And I go, I will never do the is and as. But you know what? I know the importance of those little words now. I really do. And this is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I know you've been down there. Yeah. I mean, we've done those of us have done those legislative battles. Ugh. Okay, so in a related thing, again, I think it would be simple, although we have to look at those codes. In the 0150, 0180, and 0120, do we want to also include eliminating the language about oral cancer screening there, or just eliminating the as indicated?
Well, I think, we for sure need to get rid of where indicated.
But then are they going to say this is overlapping?
Yeah. In my gut, I would say to get rid of it to remove it from those evaluations or from those codes.
If we don't get rid of it, will insurance say it's duplicate billing and not pay for the freestanding charge?
Let's see what the
Was that Angela? For some reason, I'm having a hard time hearing Angela.
I'm not sure I completely understood that yet.
It's all fuzzy when she talks, unfortunately. And I'm on my phone, and I think that's why.
I'm on my phone too.
Can somebody that understood it explain a little bit more? Because I think it's important for us to hear what you say. Because you said something about the curious won't pay for the freestanding code. I missed the first part though, Angela.
That was my reason for wanting to. Yes, I would take it out of the other numbered codes completely.
I agree too, and I think we could argue for part of the argumentation is those codes are so complicated that nobody sees that part, but yet that part is really important. It needs to come out of there and have its own.
Yes.
For the arguments I made there?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I was just reading something relating to periodontal screening as part of the DO 120, where they were explaining stuff, and it says the periodic oral evaluation includes periodontal screening where indicated. A periodontal screening may be performed at a DO 120 visit. This does not mean periodontal probing and full charting is required at each periodic oral evaluation in order to report the periodic oral evaluation code. So in relation to this, just because it still
Wait a
says...
second, back up the bus, back up before you go any farther. Who are you reading and what is the basis for their belief that that's accurate?
I don't know. This is just something, but this is just something they're saying, but I'm saying if that would be true, then even though it still says oral cancer screening, it doesn't mean it has to be a full-fledged one in there, does it? I'm asking a question. In
Okay.
DO 120.
The 0120, there's a lot of what that interpretation of 0120 is just that. It's not it's an interpretation.
That's what I'm trying to
Because
get at.
Yeah, whether it's required or not or whatever. What the periodic evaluation is the reevaluation of everything that has see if anything's changed since the previous comprehensive or periodic evaluation. That means in order to know if anything changed, the only way we can do it is by again redoing all of it. So basically, here's the way I say it in the course: a comprehensive oral exam, comprehensive, a periodic, and perio are all actually the same damn thing.
Yeah.
You got to do all the same stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the unfortunate thing is that people misinterpret or they think the 0180 is the perio charting. It is not. There is no code for perio charting. It's different than that. So, but again, that's all very unclear. And there's lots of work that could be done in this arena. The question is what do we want to do? Because are we going to have we talked about the 0150, the 0120. What about the 0180? Because people do an 0180 when they have signs and symptoms of perio. Do we take the oral cancer out of there too because that has its own thing?
Yes. Yeah. I say yes. I mean, they're throwing so much into that 0180. Oral cancer evaluation should be removed from there. What do you guys? I think
because it qualifies. It's a very important subject today. We know it's the number one cancer being found. It deserves its own code.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be encapsulated in any other code as indicated.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So that what that means, guys, is we need to write up not one submission. Those are 4 different submissions minimally then. Now, there's going to be a lot of overlap to them, but you know what I mean? but they are four separate things. And what happens is the way it will go in the committee is they would look at the overriding one first, the one we've been writing today, and if that doesn't pass, then they would say we don't have to vote on removing the language from the other ones.
Got it.
But we still have to write them up as four different things.
Yep.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The other thing, too, is this is still only the beginning. We need to have now, like Andy Nemechek, he wrote a nice little thing. There was no science in there at all. If you look at how the things are written, they are written where it's got to be evidence-based. What's our evidence for wanting this? And that's where we've got to show that the incidence is going up and the mortality, that we haven't made any effect on the mortality or morbidity. So clearly the way this is done and the way it was done in the best intentions is not working. But we got to have the facts and figures. That's what we're going to convince them with. Maybe. But we have to have them. See what I'm saying? That's the more, and this is where the balance comes in. We need to give enough argumentation, but we also need to be aware that the people on these committees if they end up having 134 like they did last year, they don't have time to read 58 pages for one submission. So there's a real balance again of concise writing in that too.
Yeah.
Angela, did you do a lot of that, or is it, I don't know, Lucy or Angela, somebody did some of that early research that we were doing back in the beginning. This is where this is starting to play in now.
Yep.
Lucy. Yep.
And I had sent a few things. I'm not very good. I don't know how to cite things correctly. That's my weakness.
Okay, well, first of all, this isn't a term paper.
Well, however you do it. I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, the thing is that if you look at how things are, when I keep going back to the ones that I have found as kind of the examples of very effective in the last year, is if we look at the two codes that were submitted, and I can send you guys these individually if it'll help, for both the HbA1c code as well as the glucose code. Okay, because we have a code for the 3-month test, and then we have the one was in 18 and one is in 19. It's the same group that brought forward, and what they did is the first year they said they wanted the HbA1c, and here's the reason why. And it's a combination of research that supported the need, and there's so much information about diabetes out there. That's huge. But the other part is that they talked about some behavioral research and why it's important for dentistry to become involved. Okay, do you want me to send that to you tonight?
Sure.
You cut out. Yeah, I know, because my husband called me, wondering where the heck I am. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I cut out. What it is again, it's a combination of both it's all research, but it's research that the facts and figures, and the other is the behavioral. It's why dentistry needs to do this. And we're talking about, again, the HbA1c code, which is, of course, definitely not something that has been something we did in our offices before. But that's where we're looking at the research, and we don't have to give all the statistics of oral cancer. We need to give the statistics of that the numbers have gone up since this was previously discussed. I got to answer this. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I think we could talk about the fact that one of those articles I had talked about what the cost of treating oral cancers to insurance companies, to employers, to families. I think that would be a good thing to talk about for trying early detection, trying to prevent things from turning into cancer.
Right, right. I think so too. And
And I
then,
think bring up the insurance companies and employers. I think that would kind of hit home.
And
right.
to add to that, I even have some research studies on Medicare and Medi-Cal patients and how much it costs the government.
No. There you go.
And versus private.
And then also HPV, oropharyngeal cancer, is now more, well, several years ago, it's overtaken cervical cancer.
Yep, there we go.
And
That's the kind of stuff that's about to change since they last discussed it at this committee. Because as Brian told you, he fought this battle before.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't tell all you, maybe Susan and I talked about it. But Brian Hill has been there before. This is not the first rodeo on this. This, as indicated in the language, we were going to review that, is back when the pre-diagnostic code, the Visalite code, whatever you call it, that's not accurate. But when that came out, that's when it was specifically discussed then to create a separate code for oral cancer. And I know Brian was involved back then. And what the committee decided at that time is they were just going to put more language into the comprehensive and periodic codes. So we need to, that's part of our counter argument, that even though that was done in the best thoughts, it didn't work. We're not going to say it that way.
I'm sorry, I just need to ask a stupid question. Who's Brian?
Brian Hill.
Like, what is he? I know. I mean, I read what he's, but like, how is he involved in all this? Obviously, he's.
Brian Hill, to give you a little background on Brian Hill, and you can fill in and whatever, Susan. Brian Hill was actually in dentistry himself. He used to own an implant company, and he had his oral cancer missed. And he was stage 3 or stage 4, whatever he was. And after he had his first therapies, he basically took he sold his company and integrated the Oral Cancer Foundation, and has been committing all of his money, his time, and his efforts to helping stop, early recognition of this horrendous cancer. So, Oral Cancer Foundation. Yeah,
he's pretty well connected with a lot of people.
Very well connected.
He's the reason why, he's one of the main reasons why boys are now being vaccinated for HPV, because of his work and his testimonies before CDC and everybody.
Right, but he was already connected to dentistry strongly before he had cancer.
Before that.
That's what that is the differentiator with other people. So. If you go on the Oral Cancer Foundation website, you can read a story.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted some little bit of background.
No, that's great. No, sometimes we think what we're talking about, everybody else knows. And again, thanks for asking. Okay, we've been on this for an hour 40. I think we need to figure out.
My question is, before we go, if we have 4 submissions to write up, how are we going to break this up? Are we going to a couple people take one submission, or Patty, can we use the same research and information for each submission, so that doesn't need to be long and drawn
okay, well,
out?
we have one submission and that are deletions. And the deletions will really all read the same, except for the code name. But our reason is because it needs a separate code, as suggested, okay? As submitted or something or other, as long as we come up with for that. But those will be a lot simpler. So those 3 go together. The one that's going to take the most effort to bring the research together is the one we just did tonight. That's our main one, right? Okay.
So you want us to work on this more so because the others are just deletion. That's what I heard.
Right,
Am I
but
correct?
that paperwork still has to be done by next Sunday.
Got it.
To the committee, okay? Because I'm going to be asking my chair, my liaison, Susan, are you hearing? I have to have that from all of the committees by Saturday so I can put it into a PowerPoint so we can all vote it on it on Sunday.
Okay.
Okay.
Susan, I can take some of that information that I had that I sent you, and I can try to write a few things up. And I don't know if somebody else said they had something they could write up. And then we can see what we want to use. You can decide what you want to put on there.
Well, we all need to decide.
True.
So,
I think it might be helpful if somebody just does the mechanical part. If somebody just goes in and fills out all the top parts of the form that just, they're all the same. It's our committee name, our this, not our work group, our bigger ones. And maybe somebody does the mechanical stuff and somebody does the you know what I mean? To divide it up that way.
Okay, so sorry, I just want to interrupt. I just submitted the CDT form submission, the blank one that's shared in our folder in the Dropbox. Did you want me to put 3 more submissions for the deletion?
What do you mean, put the form again? We could it might be easier just to put, when we do one deletion, and then just do and save as for the next one. Yeah.
Okay, so
once we get one done, we can do save as and just substitute the next code.
Well, that's I was just going to put all 4 of them. Like one of them, I put CDT form submission, so that's the one that we're submitting, and then I can put 3 that are deletion.
No, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure you heard what I said. Is why should we retype everything in?
Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do one, and then we do save as and just change the parts we need to change. If those are all going to be the same.
Okay, so just one deletion?
No, there's 3 deletions.
One in for deletion.
There's
3 deletions.
Yeah, I got it. I understand. But do you want me to put a copy of that we can all? Well,
Let's work on one deletion. Because once we get it, then we can do the other ones easily.
Perfect. So I'm going to put 1 submission and 1 deletion in then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
So Patty, I have a question. And I asked this in a text message, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It asks, the submitter information, the name, Dental Codology Consortium.
Don't go there. Now, what you need to do is don't try and figure all this out, guys. You already have it all filled out from the way Kathy had them filled out for this year. That's in Dropbox. You don't have to figure all that part out. It's there. It's there.
Yeah, I see it. The copies that you sent, it's here.
Kathy has all that work done because it's still going to be submitted at Kathy's address and Kathy's name, and all that's there. And again, we could even start with those as save as, because all this stuff's in there.
Okay.
We can finish the both time. Okay.
Okie doke.
All right. What's the timeline?
I don't know. They tried to go to Ted's Friday night or Saturday.
Well,
Literally, there were only 2. I knew one was closed.
So do we want to meet on Saturday?
You have to have it done before then. You have to have it all done by Saturday. Saturday, you can't meet on Saturday. It's got to be done. You're gonna really need to move to we're gonna need to move to, you know, who's doing this, who's doing that. We're gonna have to have it done so it's all can be pulled together by Thursday or Friday, so it can be submitted to me by Saturday. We don't have time to meet again unless something really big comes up that we can't do via email. Hello, everybody there?
Yep.
Yes, I'm here, and my state meeting starts Thursday.
Yeah, so anything you need to, whatever Rhoda does, how if we ask Rhoda to do it tomorrow? Tomorrow, you know what I mean? That's, what can you,
Yeah.
what can Rhoda, can you best help?
Just tell me what you want me to do.
Susan, what needs to be done?
Good question. I'm trying to pull this up. For some reason, I can't pull it up out of Dropbox. I don't know if that's it or not. So, let me see. I don't know if I've got this. So, what needs to be done? Okay. So, I don't know, Rhoda, do you have this up on your computer? Should she go in and you know, what'd you say, mark all the mechanicals? Like new, revise, delete, whatever all of those are. Is that making sense?
So I have a question. If somebody goes in Dropbox and makes changes, will we be able to see those right away?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the danger of Dropbox.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have a computer, Susan. I won't have a computer until, not at all. My computer's arriving hopefully by Tuesday. Remember, I left it in the airport.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, I didn't hear that part. Oh, my.
Oh, don't ask.
Oh.
I'm not much help unless it's in the Dropbox because I can edit it in the Dropbox. Difficult and unpredictable.
That's like saying that it's that all edit is. I mean, all that is the file cabinet. Okay, what Dropbox is?
Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of at a loss as to tell what everybody should do or recommend because, gosh, I'm first time and I don't know.
I'm actually online now, and you're scrolling. So if you look at, go ahead. No, wait, go back to the top. If you see, there's 4 sections. We have the submitter information. That's a job. Okay. Go to the part 2. Hold on, Susan. Part 2. This is the name and the rationale. Okay. This is the one that takes the most work. Okay. Now go down to section 3. This is just additional information, and this is almost, if you don't have enough space over there, it goes here. Okay?
Say that again.
Almost like if you don't have enough information, you put it there. But scroll up again. Let's see, scroll up again to the part 2. part two. Okay, let's look at the vision of part two, because we have nomenclature and descriptor. Nomenclature. If we're doing one that's a deletion, you have to put the name in there, and then you have to red strike through the part that you want to keep the same. You want to get rid of. The descriptor, you do the same thing. And then the rationale is a rationale. Maybe what we can do is we have those to do, that's one part, but the bottom is a technical description or a clinical scenario. And we need to decide if we're going to use any kind of clinical scenario. Who are we picking up on? There's noise all this time. Okay, you see what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. On the bottom there?
No.
Yeah, I see it, but I'm not sure what you're talking. What that is.
Okay, we don't have to be honest, there isn't a technical HPV on ours, but there could be a clinical scenario.
And it's men and women. My friend from Sunday night Al-Anon meeting, he had all cancer.
Everybody getting another whole voice that's going on here?
Now that he's in his
Yeah,
life.
I hear something like a completely other conversation going on in the background with
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult. I'm sorry, it's really, really difficult to listen to whoever it is that's talking because there's a complete conversation going on in the background. I don't know who it is.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so do you see C on the bottom there, clinical scenario? Scroll to that and kind of to the next page then. There you go. Wait. What that does is you see it's actually clinical scenario says that and the top of that next page is where that is right in, that's all. Okay. So is there a clinical scenario that, not for the disease ones, but for the one we're talking about?
Yeah, I couldn't make it out what she said, Patty.
Clinical scenario. Is there a clinical scenario that we would want to describe for what we're talking about here?
Are we talking about for the new code? No clue.
Okay, I'm going to also, let me take a screen now that I can. Okay, let me show you can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really
So this is first of all, this is hours from last year. So there it is, Oncology Consortium, there's prophylaxis, there's the descriptor. Now, what on this, if you start looking at what we said, this is our explanation, and I'm pulling this up for both the looking at, this is to me, way too many words. But you see how they just have references like this? We make this shorter, and then what these are all hyperlinks. That's why they're blue. They should be hyperlinks. Okay? It's the support of the other stuff that we say. The reason we do that is not because it like references on a term paper. It's for people. It's both a combination to support what we're saying, as well as to give people links if they want to go see it.
Okay. I got some of that from the research I did, so I could send some of that.
Yeah, you feel more comfortable now that you looked at that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me go to one where we're deleting.
And Lucy, I also have
so this
stuff too.
Yeah.
This is one of ours that we did this year that you can see. This is only for tobacco cessation. And you see how you put the stuff in there, and then if it's like we want to get rid of the words, you just make it red and do a strike through. If there's something you want to add, you make it blue and do an underline. As simple as that. Okay? That's what we're talking about. We're now to the physically shoving the stuff in there. Right?
Yep.
This is the rationale. This is where, again, I think we just got way over our heads. We don't have any clinical scenarios on that one. I don't think we have any clinical scenarios. Then we get all that.
And Patty, are these ones from last year in Dropbox somewhere?
Yeah,
Yes.
they are. Let me show you what.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to our subgroup group right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I thought so. Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So see, this is now this one, these are our implant ones from last year. Again, this is a technical description. If we wanted to get wordy part and put all of our oral that we were talking earlier, that's where we can put all this stuff if we wanted. Okay? That's where this stuff goes.
Okay.
Okay? It's not as hard. I'm going to take the screen back, Susan, because I want to see if I can pull up. Or does that give you enough of an idea without me pulling up more stuff?
No, I think that's good.
That helps.
Give you? Okay. Okay. Susan, did that give you a clearer idea of what we need to get done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So the code, the only one we really need the support material on is the new code.
Right.
Okay. So I will, and I think Liz said she would do that, and I can do that.
Yeah, we can do it together.
Okay, terrific. Terrific. Because, again, don't watch me do this because you keep it. No, it's just scrolling and find the time for it. I'm trying to find one that I can show you where they did a delete. Which you guys all had this before. This is what I put in our Dropbox is just what we have. This is all the codes that were submitted last year. Would it be helpful if I put this in Dropbox too to look for deleted ones or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, this is how easy things are to put in Dropbox. Save it. Choose a different folder. Dropbox. Now I gotta find it. Now I got lots of Dropboxes, but there we go. Saved. It's now in Dropbox for everybody.
Okay.
That's how simple working with Dropbox is supposed to be. And then when something out of Dropbox, it's a file cabinet. That's why some people think that you guys think it's more complicated than it is. It's not. It's that document I just put in there. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Final. Oh, no, that's the thing I didn't give you. That's the thing you guys don't have. Oh, yeah, the substantive. This is this one. I see him all. All right. All right, so
Patty?
yeah?
I have a question, just to make sure I'm understanding. So nomenclature, so for our new code, that's what we did tonight was descriptor.
No, tonight
we did a name.
We did the nomenclature.
We decided that is all we're doing. We're not doing a descriptor.
Okay.
That's the nomenclature.
Okay. Think of the nomenclature makes it sound all fancy, but it's not. Nomenclature just means the name. It's the name of the code. And we don't have anything to do with the number. Okay? Let me show you this was what I was trying to say before, what I was looking at on my phone, is...
I was going to ask that question, too.
Yeah. In this section is what we're thinking it might go in. It might not, but it might go in. You can see how the philosophy of the committee was, we get a lot of words in there. Okay? The codes that are more recent, and again, I know this from being there, is these. And if you look, they have a name and a single line. Or this one, no descriptor at all. No descriptor at all. you see what I mean? I think what they're trying to do, and I think that's why there's some value to that for us to do it that way.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
All right. We've been at this for 2 hours, guys.
Gotta go.
Sunday night. It's Sunday night. You guys are amazing. I know Rhoda, at least it's after 10 o'clock, which is nuts. Of course, no, Rhoda's nuts, but that's never mind. I love you, Rhoda. Okay. So thank you, guys. Can everybody get their pieces and parts? And I'm going to suggest that we use email for documents and text just if we need to get a hold of something. Don't put a lot of information into a text. You can't find it later. It's not searchable.
Yeah.
Those are just,
So is it editable what you're sending us on the emails so that if I see something, say something?
Yeah. Well, we're going to use Word docs because the forms are Word docs, aren't they?
Okay.
Because I saw only PDFs on the Dropbox, but that was just, it might have been the final thing that you sent in. That's all.
Yeah,
those are finals.
So we're not using Dropbox then because I can erase, because I put 2 blank ones in Dropbox. And I named one for the submission, which is blank, and we can work on it together because it's shared. And then one that's for the deletion.
Yeah, I can get it from my
Dropbox
phone.
is a better way to do it. But
I can get it on there.
Yeah.
Because it's there. It's already there. I put it's CDT.
But that's where you use texting. You say, hey, I updated something in Dropbox. Updated everybody.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Got it? That's what I'm trying to say about communication.
Liz, what's your email address? I'm looking at the...
Sure, it's UNA.
Okay. No, I've got it now. It's on Susan's. I just didn't know which one was yours because I don't know your last name or anything.
Oh, okay, it's Grillo. But yeah, we can text one another or email. Sorry.
Guys, remember Dropbox. Here it is. There's Dropbox. Okay, so all work groups. To be clear, we're going to mail it and phones.
Okay, got it.
So to be clear, we're going to make all the changes in Dropbox and just text everybody when we've added.
No, we're not making the. You're making the changes in the documents in Dropbox.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay. And the submission is CDT 2019 submission. That's where it's at in our group. And the deletion's the CDT 2019 deletion.
Okay. Okay, let me pull it up so we can all see what she's talking about. Right there. Okay. Now see, it comes up as a Word doc. There it is.
Okay.
Huh? And there's this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Got it. All right. Okay, so on those forms, I see Kathy's address is not there. And I noticed when I pulled this up, that makes sense that they didn't place the whole committee in the whole world with Kathy's personal address on it. But I can get that for you. Don't worry about this. Not the worst thing in the world. On this where it says the address. Okay. It's the name of the children's DCC. Our DCC. I'll find it. This is because see, we need an address. And this stuff in here. What I showed you on here, they don't end up putting everybody's address and stuff in there, which I certainly understand that. Because this is a published online thing. Okay? But I have the actual what she sent in. I will put it in the Dropbox for you guys now that we know where things are. Okay? I just have to look for it. If you can see as you're looking at me, I've got
Reading, I got so much stuff. Okay, we good?
Yep. Yep.
Awesome, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night,
All right.
everyone.
All right,
Good
night, everybody.
night. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.